This guy is so breathtakingly stupid. Let's watch a couple of clips of this idiot from his appearance on CNBC. Now, in this first clip, he is talking about migrant farm workers. You know, he's upset a lot of people in his MAGA base because he wants to exempt farm workers from deportations, because some of the people who bought his presidency for him, some of the, these big corporate ag companies, the oligarch class who benefit from cheap migrant labor. You know, they don't have to pay them health insurance and all those kinds of things. They can pay them just cheap, dirt cheap wages. So they love it. They don't want to have to hire Americans. Because, you hear Americans don't want to pick vegetables. Well, they don't want to pick vegetables for the wages you're giving to the migrant labor. They won't do it for that shit money. If you pay them more, they will. There's Americans who clean fucking toilets. Okay? There are no jobs that Americans will not do if you pay them commensurate to the job. All right? And being a farm worker is hard work. So let me play this clip from the Orange Buffoon talking about migrant farm workers. Go.
Back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody. These people that you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
No, okay.
Okay, let me just stop this idiot right there. There's a lot to unpack, a lot of stupidity, a lot of racism. And so what I want to do is go back and play this from the top so that I can stop and comment on some of this bullshit. So let us play this again.
Their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but
First of all, what the hell is he talking about there? He sends them back, they're schooling, they're learning. Are we talking about kids here? Are we bringing in children from Mexico and Central America to work in our fields? Is that who we're talking about? But here's the way Donald Trump and the oligarch class views these human beings. Well, they don't view them as human beings. That's the point. They are cheap labor. They are not human beings. They exist for our benefit. We don't give a shit about them. It's only about what they can do for us. They can give us cheap labor. They can save us money that we would have to spend on hiring Americans. So bring those little fuckers in here. Put those brown people to work in the fields. And when they're done picking, get them the hell out of here. Let them go do their schooling or whatever the hell. Send those children, I guess, back to Mexico or wherever they're from. They can live the rest of the year over there, but when we need them, then they can come back. when it's harvest time or whatever we need them for, then they can come back and work for slave wages. And then when the job's done, get them the hell out of here. That's how they look at these human beings. They're not human beings. They're tools to make Donald Trump and his oligarch class rich. That's how they view these people. Okay, what else does this jackass say?
Taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody.
That's right. Screw the poor brown people. We're taking care of our farmers. Meaning the rich farmers. He doesn't give a shit about small family farms because those people are getting killed. They're getting wiped out by his tariffs. You know, because other countries, when they get slapped with these massive tariffs on their exports to the United States, they do the same thing. They put tariffs on American products. And farmers are getting fucked. American farmers are getting screwed. And small farmers who barely get by can't absorb that kind of financial stress. And so many, and this serves the interests of the rich oligarchs, you know, in the ag industry, many of whom helped get Donald Trump elected. They can come in and snatch up these family farm operations, you know, on the cheap when Donald Trump's tariffs put them out of business. So when he says we have to take care of our farmers, he's talking about the rich ag corporations. That's who he's talking about. Okay, so that's why we got to exploit these brown people from Central and South America.
These people that you can't replace them very easily. You know, people that live in the inner city.
Yeah, you can't replace them very easily, at least for the same wages. That's what he means. You can't take the shit wages that the farmers, you know, Trump's corporate buddies pay to these brown people from Central and South America. You can't replace them with the same slave wages you pay them. So if we kick all of them out of the country and we have to hire Americans, we're going to have to pay more. And that's going to eat into our farmers, our rich corporate donors. It's going to eat into their profits. So we can't have that. Okay, what else did he say?
Are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And
let me rewind that.
They're just not doing that work. And they that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried,
Let me get this straight. The people in the inner city are not doing that work. So the people in the inner city are not picking fruits and vegetables on the farms. Is that what he said? Because there's no fucking farms there, you moron. What else did our genius president say?
Everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. Naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting.
They don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. Oh. Can you imagine if Joe Biden said this stuff? Jake Tapper would have a whole book just based on this interview. So, this is where this man's racism shows up. One of the many ways. So I guess these brown people, these Hispanics from Central and South America were bred to work our fields. Is that how I am to interpret his comments here? That they don't get bad backs? Because if they do, then they die. How do they die? Do they die from a bad back? Is that what kills them? Or maybe they die because, you know, we don't treat them like humans anyway. Maybe, is Donald Trump advocating maybe putting these people down if they get a bad back? Like a horse that breaks its leg We put them down. Well, they're of no further use to us. We're going to spend way too much money fixing this brown guy's broken leg. Just put him down. Put him out of his misery. Is that what we're talking about? Oh, okay. What else did he say here?
Interesting, isn't it? You know, these are very, you know, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
In many, many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, so that's what he said about human beings that we will use for our benefit. You know, these people who come here do this very difficult work, and we use them, and when we don't need them anymore, we kick them out of the country. And if they show up with a bad back, we put them down. What we don't do, though, is pay for health care. We won't let them collect benefits that American citizens get to collect. We won't allow them Social Security or, you know, any kind of benefits. No. You don't get that. You come in here when we need you, then get the hell out. And don't expect anything from us. You're lucky we let you come in here and pick lettuce for 12 hours a day. Hell, it's nothing to you. You're genetically impervious to bad backs. Good God. Okay, here's another clip from this idiot on CNBC. He's talking here about, among other things, his poll numbers. And you will see how completely delusional he is. And I wonder, does he really believe this shit? I don't know sometimes, because he is so insulated. He lives in a bubble as much as these maggots who worship him. So I don't know how connected to reality he actually is. But let's listen to this.
Else. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, a record that they say won't be beaten unless I run again.
Okay, he just said that he had the highest, what did he say? The highest vote. Let me hear this again. Drag that. Okay, what did he say? The highest vote. That doesn't even make any, like, literal sense. The highest vote. No matter what the hell he means here, it's not true, okay? If he's saying he won the biggest election victory in Texas of anyone running for president, that is categorically false. Like, he's not even close to having won Texas by the biggest margin ever. He's just, you know, him. He's fucking deluded or just a blatant liar. All right, let's go back here.
Record that they say won't be beaten unless I run again.
Are you going to run again? The
No,
Constitution
probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
And you're not going to fire Jay Powell. We'll go all talk about all the stuff that.
Hey, Becky, I'd like to run. I have the best poll numbers I've ever had.
Here we go. Here we go. Before we get into the poll numbers, he constantly teases about running again. He's not going to run again. He's not going to be on a ballot. That's not going to happen. If he attempts to stay in office after the expiration of this term, it's not going to be by election. He would never win unless he rigged it, which I don't put past him. But he's not going to be on a ballot again. He doesn't control ballot access, and that's his problem. The Constitution is crystal clear on this, and the states run presidential elections. It's not one presidential election. It's 50 different elections for president. And the states control those. He's not getting on the ballot. He will not be a candidate for president. But that doesn't mean he won't try to stay in office at the end of his term. We've already seen him try to do that once, and he used violence. He incited a violent insurrection. He was the head of a criminal conspiracy that culminated in January 6th. I put nothing past this piece of shit. So I take seriously the idea that he may try not to leave, but I don't take seriously the idea that he will be a candidate again. He won't. Maybe he'll try a military coup. Who knows what he might try. but it won't be as a candidate. All right, back to the moron.
Because people love the tariffs. And they
That's
love...
Okay, let me rewind that a little bit. What is he saying here? People love the tariffs.
You know why? Because people love...
Yeah, a little more.
Jay Powell. We'll go all.
There we go.
All the stuff that.
Hey, Becky, I'd like to run. I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. You know why? Because people love the tariffs, and they love the trade deal, and they love that countries, and they love that foreign countries.
They love the tariffs. They love paying more, for all the products they buy. They love being taxed. These morons, they love it. If I tell them to love the tariffs, then they're going to love the tariffs. And believe me, they love it. Give me more tariffs. This fucking guy. Okay, what else does he say?
Countries aren't ripping us off anymore. For years, they ripped us off, friend and foe. And the friend was worse.
Overall poll numbers, you don't have the best you ever had. In overall poll numbers, you do.
Wow, is this guy actually trying to correct the Orange God King? Call me shocked.
I cited one of those.
I have the best poll numbers I've ever had.
Among
I have poll numbers where I'm 71%.
Okay, he doesn't have the best poll numbers he ever had. He is historically unpopular. Actually, I'm going to get to what his actual polls are here in a minute. But he doesn't even have the highest poll numbers he's ever had among Republicans. He doesn't even have the highest poll numbers he's ever had there. This guy is on another planet.
I have the best poll numbers. Look,
those are among Republicans.
No. Among Republicans, I'm at 94 and 95%. No, I'm talking about generally. Let me put it this way. There was a gentleman on Harry Emden yesterday on CNN.
What was that? What was that guy's name?
Gentleman on Harry Emden yesterday on...
I'm assuming here he's referring to Harry Enton, who Donald Trump believes is named Harry Emden. What a moron. All right, back to the idiot.
CNN. And he went crazy over how well Trump was doing. Now, you don't put that on because I think CBS is a shade. Actually, CNN's a shade better than NBC. I think NBC is probably the worst of them all. But if you check CNN tomorrow, watch Harry Emden, and you'll see about the numbers. But
Harry
We
Emden.
have to defend ourselves. Yeah.
I know, but there are other. They can cite. Your haters cite polls that have you down in the 30s, Mr. President. And,
but they're fake polls.
And this is how you do it. This is how you do it. When you're a Trump ass kisser, but you're trying to maintain some sort of journalistic credibility. You know damn well what his poll numbers are. And let me tell you what his most recent poll numbers. They're all in the toilet. His best polls have him in the low 40s. Most polls now have him in the 30s. And there's a new poll out today from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst that has him at 38% approval. 38. He's only polling 39% among men. This guy is doing horribly. But here's this guy on CNBC, little ass kisser that he is. He wants to make sure Trump comes back on the show. But he knows the truth. He knows his polls are really in the fucking 30s. So he wants to get it out there, but in a way that Donald Trump's not going to be angry at him. So he says, your haters will cite polls that have you in the 30s. Yeah, because we love you, so we would never cite those polls. We'll only cite the bullshit polls that you put out on Truth Social. This guy is pathetic. All right, back to the two scumbags here. And go.
Polls, Joe. I had a lot of fake polls. You also have me in the 70s. I have fake polls. Fox gives me terrible polls.
Does he see? This is what I'm saying. Does he really believe this? Does he really believe that he has an approval rating in the 70s? Does he believe that? Is he surrounded by such ass kissers that they tell him this? This I honestly don't know. I think he probably knows the truth, but maybe he doesn't. I mean, he watches Fox News all the time. who will never report. You think Fox News is going to report this UMass Amherst poll showing him at 38%, 39 among men? Hell no. They're not going to. Maybe in the middle of the day, maybe they'll put it across the bottom. They won't even do that. Let's be honest. They're not going to report this. The morons who watch Fox News, Trump included, aren't going to know about this. So maybe and does he have any of the ass kissers around him who are going to tell him how unpopular he is, or how his position and on every issue and the things that he is doing on these issues, he's underwater, like big time on every single issue, including the issue his issues that were his two strongest issues, immigration and the economy. He is underwater massively on both of those issues. Does anyone actually tell him that? Or do they tell him, oh, everybody loves you. You've never had approval this high. In fact, no president in history has ever had approval this high. You're in the upper 70s. You're like 95% among Republicans. And you're like 75% with everybody. Is that what they tell this jackass? I honestly don't know. Okay, let's go back.
Time, they do nothing, but I've never had a good poll with Fox. And then I win an election and I go through the roof. Because look, I won every swing state, did I not? I won every swing state. Andrew, I won the popular vote by millions of votes. Even though they tried like hell to cheat, I won by millions of votes. I won the...
Let's be clear about something. Donald Trump won the popular vote by less than Hillary Clinton won the popular vote when Trump won in 2016. This was not an overwhelming victory. It's one of the smallest popular vote victories in American history. Never has this man been popular. And now he is horribly and historically unpopular.
Counties and all of the counties, I won 7,000.
All right, you know what? I can't take this jackass anymore. I'm done. There's still I don't know, like 50 seconds more of this jerk off. I just can't take it. So, anyway, there you have him. Blithering idiot, racist. And, did you see him today, by the way? He's up on the fucking White House, like on the roof. Reporters are screaming at him, "What are you doing up there?" He starts going on about putting nuclear weapons on the roof, apparently. A crazy old man talking about putting nuclear weapons on the roof of the White House while he's wandering around aimlessly up there. Imagine if Joe Biden had appeared on the roof of the White House and reporters said, "What are you doing up there?" And he said, "I'm going to put nuclear weapons on the fucking..." That is all people would be talking about. That's all the legacy media would be talking about. They'd be leading their programs with, what is wrong with Joe Biden? He's out of his freaking mind. Why is he on the roof? What the hell is he talking about? He also did, what are you doing up there? He starts doing this, like the hourglass shape, like the profile of a woman. He starts doing this. They're like, what the hell does that mean? He's like, The guy's alone. And they don't cover it. Of course, they play everything that this man does as normal because they're afraid of incurring the old lunatic's wrath. That's what they're all afraid of. So they treat this man like he's normal. Any one of these things that he does on a nearly daily basis, if it were Joe Biden or any other president, you'd have panel discussions of what is wrong with the president. Should we invoke the 25th Amendment to strip him of his power? Is this man mentally fit to be president? Or is he a threat to this republic and to the world to have an unhinged lunatic like this be president of the United States? That is what they'd all be talking about. But no, not him. Not with him. It's all normal. Talking about nuclear weapons, wandering around the roof of the White House. I sometimes wake up still, I can't believe we're living in this. I can't believe this is real. How the fuck is any of this real? Oh, God. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon.